Welcome back. Tonight in the Hot Box, we're talking about the civil rights movement. A couple of special guests with me. One, an MSUM history professor, Paul Harris. Thanks for joining us, Paul. Also, Leon Francis, the president of the North Dakota Tea Party Caucus. So I want to talk about the civil rights movement and its impact on the African-American community, being its MLK Day. But I want to create some context before we do that. And I want to talk about the year 1963. If we can pull up this graphic, please. Many people are talking about 1963 as a possible year that ended up changing America. A lot of things took place in 1963, some of them being on January 10th, communist goals of taking over America hits our U.S. Capitol. June 17th, the U.S. Supreme Court concludes that any Bible recited or prayer in public schools was deemed unconstitutional. Right before that, on June 11th, JFK gave his civil rights speech, which initiated many parts of the civil rights movement. You got August 28th, obviously the MLK famous I Have a Dream speech. November 22nd, JFK is assassinated, and many other things. The feminist mystique movement. So I want to start with you, Paul. Talk to us about the year of 1963, moving into 64 when the Civil Rights Act was actually put into play. How has that helped, in your opinion, the African-American community?
Well, this Civil Rights Movement at the beginning of 1963 was really stalled. It was at a kind of a crossroads position. And what you left out as a very major turning point during that year was the massive demonstrations that took place in Birmingham. And it was really those demonstrations that propelled JFK to finally decisively take the stand that we needed civil rights legislation to push that bill that was enacted then after he was assassinated when Lyndon Johnson was able to steer it through Congress.
Do you see it as a positive movement, though, for African Americans?
Absolutely. The African Americans were still very much under the throes of Jim Crow segregation, the signs that you never see anymore of whites here, coloreds there, were still pervasive in many places in the South. All that's gone. Equal opportunity as a commitment of the federal government became a part of national law. And then the following year, with the passage of the Voting Rights Act, African Americans finally overcame the historic exclusion that they had from being able to exercise the right to vote, and have become real political players in American politics since then, as we see today.
And Leon, I want to bring you on. Obviously, it's one thing for a couple of honkies to sit here and talk about the Civil Rights Act, but a whole other thing, obviously, for you.
He said that.
So I want to get your thoughts, because you and I have obviously talked about this. Did the Civil Rights Act, did the Civil Rights Movement really, at the end of the day, have a positive movement outcome for African Americans?
Well, I want to start by saying I agree in part with what we're saying now. You know, the voting rights, absolutely essential if you want representation, you know. And a lot of things that were going on, like the signs and all of that, that's great. Those are visible things. The outcomes that I see that were detrimental are what the civil rights movement being co-opted by the progressive movement, what it did to decimate the family unit, the African-American family unit. A lot of people don't know, but even during the throes of the Jim Crow era, the African-American family was strong as a unit. You had a male, a female, children in a home, and it was good. You also had, a lot of people might not know this, but the black unemployment rate was lower right out of the Jim Crow era before the equal pay, what is it? I'm drawing a
One thing I want to ask you about, because I think you bring up a good point. You look at the family as a whole. If you look at America right now, back in 1960s, 1963 or so, you had a high percentage of Americans married, low percentage of Americans on entitlements. As the marriage numbers gone down, the percentage of Americans, the entitlement numbers have gone up. You look at the African-American community, so many moms having babies on their own. What's happened to the African-American man? Why is he not more involved in being a more father figure in that community?
Well, if you look at the communist manifestos, the communist planks, you can see right in there, it says, if you want to take down America, you have to start with the family. And I believe that's what happened. You have the feminist movement. You have women coming out of the home thinking it's somehow degrading to be a, strong mother. and they have to be a visible feminist. I think that hurt. I think the welfare system, the way it's set up, the entitlement system, the way it's set up, kind of removes the father as the hunter-gatherer, the protector of the family, and puts a government institution in its place. I believe that a lot of feel-good policies sound good on paper or in an intellectual's mind, but they lack the ability to reap the repercussions when they go wrong.
Speaking about a feel-good policy, MLK proposed as part of the Civil Rights Act, or part of his movement, if you will, $50 billion from the U.S. government in reparations. Good move or not?
Reparations is never an issue that has gained real traction. I think it's somewhat of a distraction from what was the main agenda. Certainly, African Americans needed economic opportunity. The war on poverty was a much more important aspect of that struggle to open up those doors of opportunity and give African Americans, begin to give African Americans the tools that they needed to begin to walk through those doors.
Yeah, but if you look at the war on poverty, we've got more people in poverty today than we did before we spent $17 trillion.
That's absolutely not true.
Look at the stats.
No, I mean, the poverty rate in this country before the war on poverty was 20%. In 1973, it hit its historic low of 11%. That was a huge gain that was made in reducing poverty rates during the 1960s. It has stalled out since then, but that's not because of the social programs that were enacted during the 1960s.
All right, Leon, I want to get your quick thoughts. $50 billion, again, as an African-American man, $50 billion in reparations from the U.S. government. Any value in that?
I don't think there is. I think that there was much more value in the ideals of like Booker T. Washington with the capitalists. What he was promoting was us as African Americans building our value in society by making products that people wanted. I believe free market capitalism is what we needed, and we still need in the African American community. And we cannot. We chose socialism over capitalism.
And I want to find out why that's happened within the African American community. When we come back, we're going to talk about obviously Obama's second inauguration. What does that mean for the future of America and African Americans here in America? And we'll even get a little touch on. Have the Democrats co-opted the African-American community? Stay close, and as always, join our conversation. Go to our website, 630pov.com. Email, text, Twitter, Facebook, whatever's easiest for you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to 630 Point of View. Barack Obama obviously went through his second inauguration today. With us, again, if you just joined us, Professor Paul Harris, history professor at MSUM, and Leon Francis, the president of the North Dakota Tea Party Caucus. Leon, I want to start with you. What's more important to the African-American community, the fact that President Barack Obama was elected or the fact that he's now been reelected for a second term?
What's more important? Well,
what's going to have a greater impact long term?
On the African-American community? Well, in my opinion, I think it's all bad. I
What?
believe
What do you mean?
that. I mean, yeah, it's great. We have an African-American in the White House. Great. But what is it doing for the African-American community when the socialist policies that this man, I believe, believes in continues to decimate the African-American community?
And again, I want to get both of you to answer, because you look at guys like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. A lot of people say, look, these people went on and had ultra success and don't go back into the African-American neighborhoods to make an impact. You look at Barack Obama, unemployment in the African-American community is higher now than it was when he first took office.
Michael Jordan has given back. Tiger Woods has given back to the African-American community. But what do you want them to move back into the ghetto or something? No. You have certain programs. You have college scholarship funds. You have these guys go back into the communities and talk to the young African-American males and females, tell them the importance of family. Maybe not Tiger, but, you know.
Paul, for you, what do you think is more important, or what does it maybe say about where America's at today? And I know that Barack Obama has not just been elected president, but been reelected.
Well, I think his reelection was important in the sense that there was so much money poured into the other side that in a way, his reelection has redeemed democracy for me and for many people in this country, that a man could be reelected with the kinds of money that was freed up by Citizens United decision to be poured into the Republican side of things, and yet we still managed to reelect Barack Obama in spite of all of that.
He ran an amazing campaign. Do you want to say something real quick?
Well, I want to one, when you look at all of the union money that was thrown into the Obama,
Pales by comparison to
Pales
the
by-
amount of money that was put into the Republican side.
you sit and you think about either we are a capitalist nation or a socialist. The money that I saw going into Barack Obama's campaign was like the unions or big conglomerates of people that wanted a collective movement of America.
Lynn, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to get to some feedback we've gotten. If we can pull up this text that we received during the show, and as always, you can just go to our website, 630pov.com. This was a comment that came in for you, Leon. Essentially, I was told the Tea Party members were white, uneducated, and racist. Guess your guest disproves those lies.
I don't know about educated, but no.
No, but I think that's been obviously the moniker. And I'm going to share this to you because you and I are buddies. I think some people can hear what you're saying, and maybe even some African Americans go, oh, there's an Uncle Tom. You say what to that?
I'm in the Booker T model. And if Booker T. Washington was an Uncle Tom, then I wear that mantle. If Joseph Jackson was a Uncle Tom, then I wear that mantle proudly. If Thomas Sowell is a Uncle Tom, then I wear that. I mean, I am a free market capitalist. I believe that the individual is what makes this country great, not the collective. So,
And meritocracy, and you and I both talk about this,
Right.
does not see color.
no, it doesn't. If you have a product and it is better than anybody's product, it wouldn't matter if you were purple. They will buy your product. And the free markets would dictate that either you can be an idiot and be a bigot and say, well, I'm not having that product in my store, I'm not going to buy it. But money is what moves the markets, not when you manipulate it with socialist tendencies.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Paul, it's really a pleasure to have you here. Leon, you as well. Appreciate it. Stay close. We always like to get to your feedback. Robert and I will go through. We've had a ton of great feedback up to this point. And again, I want to invite you to join the conversation here on the show. Go to our website, 630pov.com. Call us, text us, whatever works for you. Love the feedback. We always read it. We'll be right back.